a fast start for Ulster before the Tigers come roaring back. My name's Mark, let's talk rugby. From this one, first up, Ollie Hassel-Collins, lovely 50-22 that he kicks, confirmed by the TMO that, he was just inside his own half. Leicester with a chance to attack in that 22, go to the maul. Ulster managed to halt them, and then Leicester moved the ball right. They sucked into the fence, and it looks like, Bassett just needs to gather a pass, and then he's going to have a stroll in, but juggles at the ball a bit. That allows Zach Ward to get over, and Werner Koch as well, covering over from the other wing, and they managed to, hold him up 2 meters out. He's then kind of driven over the try line on the ground, and it's a penalty to Ulster. But, even though they didn't score there, it's a bit of a worry for Ulster, the fact that they got sucked in very easily, and Leicester, finding it, not too difficult to create space out wide. Leicester then holding on, and Doak steps up to put Ulster ahead from the tee, 3 points to 0. Straight after then Morgan puts an up and under into the Leicester half. Hassel-Collins lets it bounce. Nobody claims it at all for them. Timoney gets there, collects the ball, avoids the cover, and then goes over under the post. It's converted by Doak for 10 points to 0. Leicester then, they come forward, work it into 22. Good run from Stewart in the build-up. Thought he had an excellent game for them tonight, especially in the air, just absolutely dominant. They're stretching the Ulster defence without quite breaking the line, and they've got penalty advantages at this stage. They then work close to the line. They go right, left, and then back to the right. And again, Bassett in space, but this time he manages to finish. Pollard converts from out wide, and it's 10 points to 7. Leicester coming back. We then have a break for treatment to Ethan MacLeod, who kind of landed very awkwardly after jumping to catch a pass. Just more injury woes for him, and he's just not having any luck at all. You feel really sorry for the guy, just back from an injury, and now he's out again. And later on he appeared on crutches, so it looks a bit of a long layoff for him. Leicester then, they got plenty of possession, but Ulster defence, doing okay in terms of stifling him at this point, and then handling errors as well from Leicester themselves, denying him any further chances for now. But then later on in the game, they do start kind of, clicking a bit better. Ulster work the ball into 22, making good meters through the forwards, but then Montoya gets over the ball and wins a penalty for Leicester. They then, kick the penalty up the line, overthrow that line out. Doak kicks it through. Bassett makes an absolute mess of it. Doak and Morgan then combine. Look like just a chance for Ulster to score, but Reffel gets back and Leinster win the penalty. Real try-saving intervention from Reffel there. Leicester then coming forward, some big carries, especially Parise, another player who was impressive tonight. Very strong, on the carry, bouncing players off all over the place. But eventually gets isolated. Henderson gets over the ball and wins a penalty for Ulster. The Tigers then win a scrum penalty with a couple of seconds left on the clock, and decided they're going to go to the corner. Ulster hold them all out, but Leicester go to the backs. Cadder with a nice fend, and then they go right. Bassett gets over for a second try. Pollard misses the conversion, but 12 points to 10, Leicester leading at half time. Into second half then, Leicester crooked on a line out on the edge of their own 22. Scrum to Ulster, but then Doak takes forever to put the ball in. He gets free kicked, and good attacking opportunity for them gone, given and especially given how few they had in the game. It really was very disappointing to see that happening there. They do better, Leicester, you talked about them in terms of the line out then into the second half, like Crooked on that line out on the edge of their own 22, but then they have a line out not long after in the Ulster 22. Do a lot better with this one. Set up the maul. It makes good ground. Then, sorry, just knocked somebody over there. They have penalty advantage as well. And from here, I think it was an Ulster player actually changed his bind in the maul, but then forwards break off, carry well, then go out to the backs, and Ollie Hassel-Collins has a stroll over to score. And again, Ulster very narrow in defence, getting sucked in very easily by Leicester. The power of the forwards, Ulster struggling with them, and because of that, then they can't keep their width in defence. And so many times Leicester were able to do that, and just very easy for them. As long as they can get it through the hands, they're over to score. Pollard misses the conversion, 70 points to 10. Pollard then goes up the line from penalty. Telfer actually tries to keep it in play, and he does that, but knocks the ball on. Leicester get the nudge in the scrum, and then they strike as they move from the back of that. Stewart with a nice line, and then over goes Hassel-Collins for the bonus point try. Pollard converts this one, 24 points to 10, and it seems a long way back for Ulster at this stage. Leicester then attacking on the right. Bassett puts in a grubber. Ward can't gather it, and Bassett collects it for his hat-trick. Pollard converts for 31 points to 10. Then we see the replay. Ward actually took a boot to the head from teammate McCann. That pretty much knocked him out before he went down to try to collect the ball. Ulster then give Leicester their next try. Very stilted attack from them. Started around about halfway, ended up back behind the 10-meter line as they're going across the field, and they were outnumbered out wide anyway. But terrible pass, goes to deck. Barrett gets the loose ball, and then he sends Parise over to score. That's converted for 38 points to 10. And there's still a fair bit of the game left to go from here, but it peters out from here. Leicester failing to add to their tally, and then Ulster not even producing a threat. Full time 38 points to 10. So let's have a look at the stats, and then we'll talk about each of the teams after that. So let me pull up the match stats here. So to start with, looking at tries, 6 tries to 1. Ulster, they scored 10 points of the game, but they scored them all in the first 8 minutes or something. And I can't even remember close opportunities that they had in the rest of the game. There wasn't really, you'd be clutching at straws really to think of any other genuine scoring opportunities that they had in the rest of the game. Just completely outplayed by Leicester for the rest from there on, and it really was the start. Even they got the penalty, and then they got the try from a mix-up by Leicester, so not even really creating that much themselves, even with the points that they scored. Onto attack then. Meters made. I don't know whether it's right or not. It might be. Let me check. I guess it is, yeah. Ulster apparently very bad, because meters made 518 for Leicester and 151 for Ulster. But I guess, I talked about not creating very much, so there you go. Carries then 148 to 94. Clean breaks 11 to 5. So again, Leicester with far more the cutting edge, especially in the first 60 minutes. They really did fall off in the last kind of quarter of the game. Defenders beaten 21 to 8. Again, Leicester much the better of the teams for that. Offloads 5 to 6. So Ulster with the more offloads. We talk about it a lot on this channel, where there are offloads and there are offloads. There are those that create breaks or scores, and those that are just kind of player under pressure and just kind of flings the ball as an offload and puts pressure on somebody else. Passes then 165 to 114. Possession 57% to 43, and territory 59 to 41. So you can see, Leicester most of the ball, most of the territory, and then when they got into positions as well, looked the more dangerous of the teams. Tackles made then 117 to 153. Tackle percentage 91% is excellent for Leicester, but again, speaks to the bluntness of the Ulster attack as well. Ulster 86% isn't terrible, especially for a team that lost by that much as well in the game. Turnovers 6 for Leicester, 10 for Ulster. So Ulster, getting those turnovers, but they don't have the fluency in the game to be able to turn a turnover into a break, or a scoring chance either. Onto set pieces then. Lineouts, 10 for Leicester, 11-1 for Ulster, 67% for Leicester. Ulster, one area they did get up and compete very well in the lineout, and then they went 100% on their own lineout as well. 0 lineout steals though for either team. Scrums 1 then, 8 for Leicester and 9 for Ulster. Leicester going 89% in the scrum and Ulster 90%. But again, stats, this is another case of stats not telling the whole story, because Leicester absolutely is the dominant force in the scrum in this game. Won a lot of penalties, lots of nudges as well. Very, stable for them in terms of an attacking platform. And really only Ulster got a scrum penalty right towards the end when they brought on, the bench there as well. On to kicking then. Kicks from hand 27 to 29. Kick meters made 658 for Leicester and 893 for Ulster. So Ulster making more kick meters, but again, it was Freddie Stewart who was the guy who was dominant in the air. So not really something that Ulster could exploit. Retained kicks 5 to 4. So Leicester, taking that one there. Onto the breakdown then. Rooks won 99 to 72. Rooks lost 1 each, so 96% to 95. So pretty okay for both teams, or pretty good, should I say, for both teams at their own rooks. Turnovers 1 in Rooks and Maul, 6 for Leicester and 10 for Ulster. I don't know why did they break the stats down like that, because they never split them out. They're always the same in terms of just general turnovers 1 and 1 at Rooks and Mauls. Maul totals then 5 to 2. Leicester though with the more I would say dangerous mauls in the game, 100% each for the teams. Maul meters gained then 5 meters to 2 meters, so basically an average of 1 meter each per maul. Onto discipline then. Penalties conceded 5 for Leicester, which is excellent. Anytime you can get into single figures, you're doing well, but 5 is very impressive. 10 for Ulster, and in the context of the game, with so many other things going wrong for them, being on the wrong side of the referee for the most part, a problem. Penalties conceded at the scrum, and a lot at the breakdown as well. They seem to have a lot of issues in terms of readjusting when the offside line is changed, because the back foot of the ruck had moved slightly. And he got pinged at least twice for that during the game. So let's talk about the teams. So Leicester, excellent win for them. Sid Parise, brilliant in the midfield there, really gave them go forward. Stewart, brilliant at the back, and also when they were kicking forward as well, just absolutely dominant in the air. And also, coming into the attack as well, both wingers, Hassel Collins and Bassett, getting their fill of tries as well. Even though Bassett messed up the what should have been the opening try there at the start. But overall, Leicester is dominant in the scrum. Line out needs a bit of work though, in terms of, when obviously they're through to the knockout stages, but when they go there, they're going to want to, properly compete. And that's an area certainly that they could improve on. Pollard, brilliant at 10. I don't think the guy gets, the credit that he deserves. He does get credit, but I mean like that, it's almost like because he doesn't play the way certain 10s do that are a bit flasher, he maybe isn't considered as highly or thought of as highly as others, but the guy is absolutely pure class as a 10. And, just overall, Leicester on the front foot for the majority of the game, did fall away in that last 20 minutes, which is, in this kind of game, you can kind of understand it, but it's the kind of thing where it's I think the difference between a Leicester and the likes of, Toulouse or Bordeaux that we've seen in the competition this year is that when they have a team well beaten, they're able to then in the last kind of 20 minutes or so just add on a few more points. I know that Bordeaux beat Ulster by a similar score, but they were able to kind of, it was a bit tighter than this game was. In terms of, I know the scoreline was tight at half time, but still Leicester were certainly the dominant force, and it would have been a real kind of shame if they had gone in at half time, behind, which they almost did. But that second half for Bordeaux, was, I think, more impressive than Leicester's second half in this one. But having said that, when they need to step up, we're going to see how this Leicester team do, and something to consider in that as well is that Bordeaux, in the knockout stages last year, came a cropper as well. So, it's not always, it's not always a guarantee that if you look amazing in the pool stages that you're going to reach semi-final or final. So, Leicester at the moment would still be, one of the kind of outside bets. You would, on form at the minute, you would kind of look at them as kind of quarter finalists, but you don't know whether they'll go further than that. I think, how they finish the pool now is going to have a big say for them in that regard. But, impressive win in this one, albeit against an Ulster side who've really struggled in this competition. But as I say, you can only beat what's in front of you. From Ulster's point of view then, as I said, struggles in this competition this year, really, not good for them. And it feels like they would have been almost better not qualifying for this and being in the Challenge Cup instead, because, the performances this year, that's kind of the level that they're at. They're not at Champions Cup level this season. And, they got a decent start to the game in this one, but you felt like, it was a little bit lucky for them, and they never really were able to generate momentum to be able to kind of build a score and even, to respond when they went down kind of at halftime. There's no kind of response from them in the second half to even offer a threat that they might actually get themselves, back in front or start kind of closing that gap to Leicester. And then once the game was kind of done, it felt like it was, just kind of managing the rest of the game, trying not to concede any more points. From their point of view, no team likes to get kind of hockeyed, and it's happened to them now 3 times from their 3 games in this as well. So, in this competition, certainly, the confidence will be low. They did get a bit of a confidence building win in the URC against Connacht, but you can see, there's lots of young players in the squad there. They do have, a lot of kind of senior players that are out injured as well. The likes of McCluskey and Stockdale and a few others as well. That you would expect to be there in the team. The likes of Stewart and that, but you feel like the next week is kind of for them. Obviously, they're out of the competition now. It's just going to be about, can they restore some kind of pride and sign off maybe with a win for the pool stages. There is or there should, because Exeter lost as well. So there's still the possibility that they could get that spot to drop down into the Challenge Cup for the knockout stages from there, because you got these two teams, the bottom of the pool now. Neither of them have won, and they're basically like going to play each other now in that final game. And the winner, the reward is to continue their in the Challenge Cup, and the loser then is out of Europe altogether. And you wonder which would be better for either of the teams. Sometimes a team wants to just focus on domestic rugby and not have the distraction of, even if it is only one game in knockout stages, maybe they don't want the distraction of that, and just want to kind of, let's try and finish the league season a bit better than we've gone so far. Or it's kind of, it can be for, we saw it for the Sharks last year, the South African Sharks, that is, where, per season in the URC, but it was the highlight of the season, and they lifted the trophy out as well. So, it could be a good chance for Ulster to actually, get this team, not necessarily lift the trophy, but certainly to kind of get confidence back into the squad as a whole, and then put themselves in a decent, on a better footing for next season. But that's the end of this one. So, let me know what you guys think, first of all about the game, but also, about the teams as well. Leicester, how far do you think they can go in the competition? And then Ulster, do you see any light at the end of the tunnel for Ulster? There, as I said, there are lots of young players coming through, but it feels like that they're still a way off from kind of finding a settled team that can actually get results for them as well. But that's it from me. See you guys on the next one.